Then 28th October, CYP Realtors. This relates to the purchase of land. That means the company purchased land. So I'll come here and say land. Then, as you can see here, SMS charges. I'll call it bank statement. I'll call it bank charges, sorry. Then, since I'm used with these feature stores, I know when I see it, it is repair relating to office. Is it repair or utilities? I think it is utilities. I've mixed it up, but what matters most is the understanding. So let me take it as utilities. And I continue that way. And see another one here, Babajide Ventures, 30 million. That relates to my sales. That relates to my sales. I come here. I call it Babajide Ventures. So interest. This is an interest received from the bank. And on that interest, the withholding tax is charged following it. So I would say under bank charges. Then I have a transfer here to petty cash. There's a transfer to petty cash. So when I go to petty cash, you can see it, 26th of October. You can see it here. So the inflow from petty cash is just like a sub under the bank statement, because what you use actually for petty cash expenses is actually coming from the bank. So every item here will also be a continuation of the petty cash, because they might tell you that they give money to someone for petty cash expenses. So you know the record that will be kept for that. You have to know the that means all these things here that we have on the debit side, 200,000 is actually an inflow to the petty cash and an outflow from the bank. So the summary of it all is that it is coming from the bank. It's coming from the bank, and you have to do an analysis of all the expenses under it. So one PLC, 45 million, these are supplier. I'll go to the purchase record. That means we made payments for the goods here, which we sell to other customers. So what date? I will include the date also. Then charges, I'll call it bank charges. I'll take it to be bank charges. Then Booker stores, 17 million. This is a customer. I'll come here and say 17 million. I'll say 17 million. Account maintenance charge, I'll take it to be bank charges also. Salary, I'll come to here. I have salary. $8 million. Just be based on an assumption that it is bank charges. Then here I will take it to be this Samuel Funshaw is also an equity shareholder. So I'll take this 25 million to someone who bought shares in the company, an equity shareholder. So the 25 million will be taken to pay an equity. SP Motors, 100 million. So when I asked the CEO, told me they purchased various trucks for the distribution of the company's products. So I'll come here, motor vehicle. Motor vehicle. $100 million. Then this Midex investment. That means we paid Midex investment. I'll go to my vendor list. So just as you can see, this SP Motors, purchase of vehicle. So Midex investment, rent of office space. Rent of office space. So I will also take it that on confirmation of this amount, I was told that the rentage of the office space and warehouse is for 2 years. So 2, under my notes, rent of office space, two years. So that means I'm trying to note information down relating to that expense, because I know that the whole 15 million cannot be recognized in this financial year. Cannot be recognized in this financial year because I'll be following the account.
Sorry, I can't see the screen. Please, I can't see the screen.
So I move. Is there another? I think there's no other person. Okay, maybe you just log out and log in again. Let me continue. So 50, continue like that. The chart. These ventures, these ventures, a customer payment, that is a customer made payment. These ventures. Multi-Finance Limited. If I go to check Multi-Finance Limited, what is there? Under multi-finance, that means this is a loan. And so I'll come here and say loan, took loan of 200 million. So that means the firm too is also financed by debt. So at this point, we now have to ask them, what is the condition of the loan? What is the term of the loan? How many years will it take them to pay the loan? And you have to draft a schedule for it. But in this case, let's assume that I would assume this because the loan, the condition for the term for the term of or let me say the condition for the loan might be based on an equated monthly installment. There you have to pay the interest and a part of the principal till the maturity date of the loan, or it can be like a bullet repayment. And if I what's a bullet repayment? A bullet repayment is one in which you pay all the interest monthly. You pay the interest on that loan monthly, and then pay the principal at the end of the loan tenure. So let me just assume that I don't have an equated monthly installment here, that it is based on a bullet repayment whereby they will be repaying the loan every month. So I will assume that the interest on the loan, monthly interest on the loan, monthly interest on the loan is let's say 5 million, or let's say 8 million. 8 million. So let's continue. I have my petty cash on the 6th of September. So when I go to 6th of September, under petty cash, I can see an inflow here. But from the bank is an outflow into my petty cash. Then I come here and say, continue and say OPJ consult. Let me go to my vendor list. Who is OPJ consult? Is a consultant. Okay, noted. So I come here and say, this consultancy fee, how many years is it for? They tell me it's for 2 years. Consultancy fee. So the essence of we doing all this is just for us to grab the basis of all this, just the basics. I'm not going to bother us too much with accounting standards or principles so that it won't be too complex. But the basic principles we need to know, we will see the application too. So if I come here and say consultancy fee 4.5 million, I'll go to my sheet where I said assumption. I will say consultancy fee is for 2 years. For 2 years. Then JPA legal. If I go to my vendor list, what does JPA legal relate to? If I come here, JPA legal, legal and professional fee. So I'll come here and say, how many years is this for? Maybe they tell me it's for 5 years. So I'll come here. Legal and professional. So I see another thing here. Okay, let me go to, so that I won't forget anything attached to this transaction. So legal and professional fee, APA, is for 5 years. So what I have here is Coco Furniture's 5 million. That is, this is relating to purchase of office furniture. So this is relating to purchase of office furniture. Z1 PLC is our supplier. Come here. Then what started the transaction here? 75 million. This is an initial deposit in the account when they started operating that account. So it's taken to be the equity. Equity, just like saying, let's say they bought shares. He also bought shares out of the authorized shares of the company. So I'll go to equity. So for the side where he took draw money out of the company's account, we'll take it to be director's account. So at this point, I'm through with fixing everything. Okay. So if we sum everything together, You can see the sum total of everything. Yeah. And then the balance in our bank account as at the year end is this. So when we are moving into our trial balance, we take note that this is our balance, our cash at bank as at the end of that period. This is our cash at bank as at the end of that period. So if I go to my record, just as I have here, if I come there, the sum total of this gives me 107,500,000. So that means all the payment made to the supplier is this for that period. So in essence, if I take it to be that this is everything that was supplied after I've done an extensive research by checking all suppliers and quotation and invoices, I discovered that it is 74 million worth of goods that was supplied, and the payment made is this. So this means this balance due to supplier 166,500,000 is due. In the same way, if I move to my sales record, the sum total of all inflows received is this. So if I find the difference, however, with what I did here, where your own greater works will come to play will be that for each of the vendors, is because due to our time, because if I said I should start doing an individual account for each vendors, it will take time. But you as an accountant, you will prepare an individual account to trace or track payments being made to the individual customer, as well as if it's suppliers too. You have to prepare individual account for them so that you can say, okay, it is this supplier that is owing this, or we are owing this supplier this. So you must know who you owe or who owes you by preparing an individual account. So I'm just doing this as just a summary of the general accounts relating to the supplier and the customers. So that means with what I have here, if we receive all these payments from the customers and we sold all this to them, By implication, that means I will call this balance due from customers. Balance due from customers. So if you are familiar with our with accounting, we will know definitely that this is a receivable. Is a receivable, and then the last one where I'm coming from here is payables, trade payables. So as I stated earlier on, you as an accountant, this is just a general summary. That means you have to go and prepare a ledger for the individual supplier or customers, for the individual suppliers or customers. So if you are in this class, I will just encourage you, you get the video, the recording, watch it over again. Because after you have learned all this should be a hot cake for you. And if you are told to do this for a company, you should know that it's not you go and try to just and you are to if you're planning it for 3 weeks, the motivation will just set in. You'll be like, is this what I am paid to do? So you must be careful when it comes to things like this. So we have been able to solve and for you to see my practical summary like this, that means it's assumed that I have gotten information as to what all those items were for. So I know that 200,000 flew from the bank statement on this date to the petty cash which was spent. So someone would have given me this record that as I received this money, I spent it on the following items. So the same thing with what was received on the 26th of October down and the expenses down here. So you are going to do an analysis of the petty cash too to see what is due, to see what is due as at the ending, though I have done a column here as the balance, 48,700. So looking at the balance like this, that means this will form our cash at bank. This will form our cash at bank as at the end of the period. Cash at hand as at the end of the period. So if I'm to do an analysis of this, though I was looking at taking this away, but it is something that you cannot shy away from because you will meet it too. So I'll come here, I'll say cleaning. Cleaning expenses related to cleaning. If I do the analysis here, 17,250. So I'll come here and say this one is relating to power and lighting. Safety and health expenses. So this I will target to be maybe pantry expenses. So let's say they bought little items for office use that are like, let's say the COVID-19, they need to buy nose masks or They need to buy nose masks or sanitizer. I can say is relating to this. So warehouse expenses, maybe in the warehouse, they had to call someone. They had to call someone, maybe all these our bookie to help them with loading goods from the warehouse into the truck. Let me take it to be that. So it will form part of the selling and distribution expense. Meal and refreshments. From the bank statement, I think I have one meal and refreshment. So I'll come here and say meal. $20,000. Internet and communication expenses. Maybe they had to do internet subscription for the office. Internet expenses. So I'll come here. 30,000. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank God the network is okay now. Local transport. Maybe there was a transportation, maybe to the bank for one transactions or the other, or for official assignment. 45. Okay, let me. Let's continue. Repair and maintenance motor vehicle. I'll come here. Yes. Vehicle. Stationary. So I'll come here and say maybe printing and stationaries. $8,000. Internet. I'll come here. 10,000. Transport. 18,000. Traveling expenses. Let me put it as part of transport. Let me assume it is for transport. Cleaning expenses. I'll come to cleaning. Internet and communication expense. So maybe they subscribe to internet. So in that period, disposal of waste and sewage. So let me put this to as cleaning. Meal and refreshment. Local transport. internet and communication expenses. I come here and say 10,000 again. So I'm done with the analysis of the petty cash. If I sum everything together, let's use this. So because I sorted everything here directly, there was no movement from the items on the petty cash to another book outside this. So I can just do a kind of verification as to confirm this balance as outflow. So if I go here, so I can be able to know if there's any mistake at any point in time. Okay. 351, 300. So this is how you check. So if I come here and say check, so this means well done, 0. So that means I've been able to sort this out well, completely. So is there any other thing which I have not done? I'll come here. Okay, everything has been done. So what I now do here is to do a rough sketch of the trial balance so that I can be able to bring out everything and to see if there will be a balance before I will now do a trial balance, which would be a summary. So this rough sketch will bring all transactions together. So I'm not trying to all transactions that we have identified from the bank statement, we are going to state it there, and then later on do a summary of it based on maybe this one is an administrative expenses or selling and distribution or relating to finance costs. We are going to sort it out based on that. But let's just have what I will call a general trial balance. So by analyzing all this, everything you can see here from these bank charges, drawings, mills, repairs, office, take it to be that they are the respective ledgers. They are the respective ledgers, and this is the amount. So what we are now going to do is to now categorize this in the trial balance. And as a matter of fact, the general rule for the trial balance is that we debit all expenses debit assets So if I say debit asset, that is debit non-current assets. Debit asset. So N that relates to assets, you debit them. Credit okay. So hope you can hear me. Let me hear from one person. Let me know if you cannot hear me.
Okay.
So I can go on, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we
So
can actually hear
credit
you, but
credit card.
like your voice is dragging. I don't know if it's my network. Your voice is dragging, and everything
Okay.
is
Thank
just.
you.
I just hope the video will be fluent, as in there won't be this kind of dragging, because as in number one thing is that it's like your words are moving faster than your screen. That's one thing I notice as well. I don't know if there are other people who notice something like that also. Your word is moving faster than your screen. So maybe it's my network, maybe it's not my network. I wouldn't know. Maybe the video itself. Thank you. Those are my observations.
And also they should log out and like that is fun because everything is from our end. So.
It can be network. It might be network.
level.
Yeah.